The voice of sharing, Durian ASEAN.
Hey, this is Arlene.
Hi, this is Gowri. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, and you're listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing. Today, in our news reading of this really beautiful Friday, I just want to let you know, Gowri, I'm so excited about next week.
What about next week? About Raya?
Yeah, it will be the end of Ramadan and
Right.
the start of Hari Raya, and I think a lot of people will be excited. Um, I haven't done my shopping yet, but
Oh,
I'll.
okay.
Yeah, I don't know why people just love to do last minute shopping, but I'm just looking forward, to the day where we can actually enjoy all these good um, food, like rendang and nasi himpit and ketupat and all that.
Yeah, actually, I really love the all the Raya cookies, especially the one with the chocolate and the
Is it
nuts on top.
is it Almond London?
Yeah, I think that's the one. It's so good, and I always it's not just during Raya. During any festive season, I always overeat and feel guilty about it later. But it's just so much fun to indulge in so much of food, and it's really really delicious food as well.
Yeah, it's really, really delicious. But my personal favorite is actually the tart nanas,
Oh, okay,
or
pineapple tarts.
pineapple tarts. I think I'm not sure where's the origin of pineapple tarts. It could be like from the Portuguese or something, but it's just really, really delicious.
And the ketupat is also really good. How you, it's kind of like sticky rice, and then you dip it in that really delicious kuah and
Peanut sauce, is it?
peanut sauce. Yeah, that's right. And
Yeah.
it's amazing. I
My,
cannot wait for
oh my
for
God,
all
we are
that.
hungry now. But
And yeah, Selamat Hari Raya to you in advance.
thank you, Gowri, and Selamat Hari Raya to you too.
Thank you, I guess.
Well, I guess we will be starting our news today with another, sadly, another plane crash, but this time it happened it happened with Algerian passenger in Mali.
Yeah, it's really scary. It's almost like a what do you call a domino effect thing.
Yeah, I
First
mean
it was the MH17, then it was the Taiwanese plane, and then it's
the MH,
Algeria.
yeah, and prior to that it was MH370.
Yes, of course, that too.
This year is like a bad year for planes. I don't know what to say, but the news that regarding on the Algeria just happened probably a day after the Taiwanese plane
Hmm.
crash as well, and also the MH17 happened like a week earlier. So
And but the good thing about this plane is that it has actually been found in
mm,
Mali, the wreckage of the plane,
mhm,
which is Swift Air MD-83,
mhm,
and there were 116 people on board. It was a flight from Burkina Faso to Algiers, and it has been found in Mali, and it's operated by Algeria's national airline, Air Algerie. I don't know if I'm pronouncing right. And it crashed about 50 kilometers from the Burkina Faso border.
mhm. And it was reported in BBC. It's called BBC Africa reported that Algeria passenger plane wreck found in Mali, and um, the apparently the news is the air traffic controller lost contact with the plane early on Thursday after pilots reported severe storms, and the passengers included 51 French citizens, and the flight itself had been chartered from Spanish airline Swift Air, like you said just now, and Malian state television also confirmed that the wreckage was found in the village of Boulkesi by a helicopter from Burkina Faso, as reported by the Associated Press news agency.
And also, they found human remains and wreckage of the plane totally burned and scattered.
Mm.
And besides that, the French fighter jets, the UN helicopters had been hunting for the wreck in the more remote desert region of northern Mali between Gao and Tessalit. And the pilot had actually contacted Niger's control tower in Niamey around 1:30 GMT to change course because of a sandstorm, according to the officials. And the Burkina Faso authorities said the passenger list comprised of 27 people from Burkina Faso, 51 French, 8 Lebanese, 6 Algerians, 2 from Luxembourg, 5 Canadians, 4 Germans, 1 Cameroonian, Belgian, Egyptian, Ukrainian, Swiss, Nigerian, and Malian. That's quite a
quite a
wide,
diverse
yeah.
range of citizens there in the one flight, and I think maybe it also shows that more and more people are interested to travel around Africa.
Yeah, and also 6 of the crew members were Spanish, and I guess it's a good thing that they found the wreckage that soon, and the families must have already had their closure that they needed, and hopefully all the bodies will be safely returned to them for proper funeral services. I'm guessing there are no survivors from this, since it was found in a thoroughly burned and scattered position.
I believe that the flight itself, I mean, I think people will be, probably people all over the world will be questioning, like, what's the case with airlines these days? Why they either gone missing, or they use a flight path that is unsafe, that it cross over war-torn areas, or it is just badly being maneuvered, that it crashed into islands or places.
But I guess in this case, the sandstorm, I didn't know that actually sandstorms can be so severe that it could block the entire vision of the plane, and can even cause it to go for an emergency landing, or in this case it just crashed right away.
So Algerians are mourning the plane crash victims, and what is happening in with the Algeria plane is definitely something that the world is also mourning as well.
Yeah, speaking of mourning, of course, we still have the MH17 going on. And we have a little news here about the Dutch papers on MH17 grief.
Yeah, I mean, the Dutch were quite, people in Malaysia, they were quite impressed with the Dutch government. They really provided a real space for people to honor the death of in the MH17 plane crash.
So the NRC and several other papers printed front page photographs of flowers being dropped from a motorway bridge as a cortege of 40 hearses drove from Eindhoven airport. And many contrasted the traumatic images of pro-Russian separatists handling bodies and personal belongings following the July 17 crash, with the solemnity of the first plane's arrival and welcome by Dutch armed forces.
So apparently the soldiers wore hats instead of balaclavas. Is it the helmet that they use?
I don't know what that is.
And also, at last, a respectful homage. There was a headline written at the AD with 193 of the 298 people killed abroad in the Malaysian Airlines.
So ahead of the first National Day of Mourning since the death of Queen Wilhelmina in 1962, many wondered what they were supposed to do, because the day had no instruction book, but it turned out that it wasn't necessary, according to Mike Van Houten in Protestant Daily Tro. And throughout the country, colleagues, managers, volunteers, Facebook users, festival goers decided to be silent for this. And it's such an exceptional occurrence in Netherlands, according to her.
Why is that so?
Well, I guess, like I said previously, the last time they had that kind of mourning was during the death of Queen Wilhelmina in 1962, and ever since then, they haven't gotten together in such a huge number to mourn for someone. And that they also said that must be what bereaved relatives felt, who had to wait so unbearably long for their loved ones' bodies.
So it remains an unimaginable scandal that perhaps still a third of the victims have been left behind in they call it the killing field of the Russian President Vladimir Putin's bandits.
So obviously, the pro-Russian separatists have been they are being accused right now of accidentally shooting down the plane, and Putin is being accused of not doing enough to help get the bodies out. And the Telegraph wrote that this must be resolved as quickly as possible because if an international police or military force must intervene, then there should be no hesitation. And we owe it to the victims and the bereaved to be steadfast. Even with non-believers congregating in churches for remembrance services, the left-leaning Volkskrant Daily quoted Pastor Jenny Nijewik actually.
I see. So all in all, I salute the papers. I mean, in Dutch papers, they really provided that space, for the Dutch to really show that the Dutch were mourning and to also be in solidarity with the people of Holland.
Yeah, it's definitely great that the whole nation got together. As it says here, believers and even non-believers actually got together in churches and all to pay respect to the victims of the dead, and that is a very nice thing to hear.
That's true. That's very nice thing to hear as well. But talking about the MH17, which is also the news of the next news, is a total of 40 Malaysian disaster victims identification or DVI personnel will be helping to carry out identification and post-mortem of the MH17 victims brought to the Hell versus Medical Military Base, and Transport Minister Datuk Sri Datuk Sri Leo Tong Lai.
And he said that there were 28 personnel on site now, 10 of whom arrived from Kiev today, and 12 from Kharkiv due to head over there soon. And the personnel include those from the police force, the armed forces, the health ministry, and also the Department of Chemistry. But he said experts had determined that the black box belonged to MH17 had suffered no major external damage as well as displayed no signs of tampering, which is a good thing because there have been a lot of articles saying that the evidence must have been tampered with by the people at the crash site, and that will affect what we really know about the plane. And also we will leave the announcement of any findings to the international investigation team headed by the Netherlands, and he also said that I hope we will be informed as soon as possible.
I actually salute both the governments of Malaysia and also the Dutch. I think at the end of the day, as much as domestically we criticize our government, I think it's a healthy democratic process to criticize our government, but at the same time, when credit is due, I think it's important for us to give credits to the Malaysian government in a way of them handling the very complex international relations in Ukraine, and also among different governments as well. Especially you want justice to be served for these victims.
Yes, and also he added that the team would also decide whether there was a need to make the contents of the black box public. So it seems that they are trying to keep it in between, probably an intergovernmental thing, and they are not sure if they want to reveal the contents to the public.
What sort of content would that be?
I guess the conversation between the pilot and whoever who was in charge of the communications tower before the plane went down.
I think investigation should definitely go ahead way further first, and what should be revealed, I think at the end of the day, would be the report of the investigation, and obviously I think the report of this investigation should be made public, and it would definitely involve the conversation of the what happened between the pilot and co-pilot. So with the efforts currently on the current ongoing efforts by the Malaysian government as well as the Dutch government to investigate, to help to carry out identification and post-mortem of the MH17 victims. We really hope that the best outcome will come out of this.
I really hope that the Malaysians will find or probably find out who was actually responsible for this, and yeah, make them. I wouldn't say make them pay. It sounds so extreme. I guess hold them responsible, hold them accountable for what happened. And
Yeah, I mean, this could be under a United Nations Criminal Court. One of the case I can definitely foresee if both governments insist on pressing charges to those who are the culprit. I mean, who is the culprit? But at the same time, I think I felt that the separatist group, it's interesting because I would assume they would hold hostage of that particular area, the crash site. But it seems like they were very cooperative, and in a sense, I think it's due to good diplomatic relations that Malaysia did. I think if governments around the world were harsher to this separatist group, I don't think they would even care to do anything positive for or to even allow access to the people of especially the investigators. Anyway, the next news we will be reporting is about Thailand. So apparently, Thai's military government is seriously worried about, guess who?
Your favorite guy, John Oliver.
Yeah, I mean, I have to let you know that I used to enjoy watching Jon Stewart's show, but for now, I have to give credit to John Oliver. I think John Oliver delivered a much more intense and well-analyzed case on every issue that he presents.
Yeah, and he also makes it really interesting. He's really witty.
He's
with
so
his
entertaining
comments.
at the same time. I mean, I mean, we watched how he analyzed the World Cup and FIFA, and I thought it was like incredible. And now I think for John Oliver being one of the target of Thailand's military government is because, according to newly leaked document, Thailand's military government has some serious concerns about comedian John Oliver. And after Oliver's last week tonight spent some time making fun of Thailand's Crown Prince okay, I have to pronounce this a bit slow. Crown Prince Maha Vajiralongkorn during an episode last month, the government circulated a document calling attention to the segment.
So apparently, John Oliver made fun of the military regime, especially their general. And I remember all the ballads that he wrote, all the happiness campaign that he came up with. So John Oliver was actually poking fun at all that.
You have watched it?
Yeah, I watched it.
Oh my God, I haven't watched it yet. I have to see this.
Yeah, you should. And he also basically he just made fun of the whole democracy thing because he thinks that it's impossible to have democracy when you have a military regime happening, because he also showed a footage of the entire army standing in a straight line and everyone is strict and rigid, and how could that even be anywhere close to democracy?
And especially, I mean, reported yesterday about how the military is reforming the education to ensure that the citizens are obedient, they follow rules, they have they uphold Thai's core value, which I'm not really sure what sort of core values they are trying to perpetuating. And they even have a passport. I think probably it would be something like a report card, an extreme version of report card, for you to show to the people, your professors.
It will be assessed before they actually get entry into the university.
Yeah, I personally, I like you as well, I don't think I'll be able to pass that test.
Yeah, I mean, there's in the quest for democracy, and they've been doing all this. I think we're gonna be next on that list though, just to give you a heads up, and to actually indoctrinate children to that extent that you have to be loyal to the military regime, that you have to kowtow to us, and that way you'll get good grades, you'll get good points, and that will help you get into university. That is just a very twisted way of trying to encourage kids to go to college.
But as much as scary as it is, I personally believe it's not a problem of just Thailand. I think Malaysia and Singapore, in some ways, we are moving towards that sort of direction of indoctrination, brainwashing, conditioning. I think even in schools back then, I felt that in some ways, I wasn't being taught to think. I was being taught to like just consume all this different information that were given by teachers, and just to accept whatever reality that we were in. We were not being challenged or questioned, and those who question the authorities are always being sent to the disciplined teachers to deal with.
Yeah, and also, yeah, you're right. In that sense, we are always given a lot of information. It's just a lot of input, a lot of facts, a lot of things to memorize, but we were not actually taught to question or taught to think critically about whether is this really as it is. It's just like this is it, and this is what you have to believe.
Yeah, the only way we were really being analyzed or being tested is actually those kind of paper examination, where you just have to like consume so many information and just write it or your answers on papers. So all these like examination based tests, I think it sort of make you feel sort of make you becoming this obedient child, towards the parent. And I think the parent in this metaphor would be the state.
Right, and also in a way, I guess we are also kowtowing to our country and the people in charge, because if you look at the history books, a couple of teachers told me that this is actually not what really happened, and I don't know why is this being reported this way, and you guys are all just reading and memorize this thing when it's not even right in the first place.
Yeah,
especially those who
that's
studied
true.
in the West, because there is a different perspective altogether about what happened in Asia or in Malaysia in particular.
But as much as they want to reform the education, they also want to reform the economy.
That's right.
So it's stated that Thailand's military considering long-term reform for economy. The Thai military government is pushing for information technology improvements and stronger economic ties across Southeast Asia as part of a series of economic reforms.
And analysts also say that the plans mark a shift from the country's traditional manufacturing and export-driven growth, a foundation of development over recent decades. And the World Economic Forum has also reports on global competitiveness, and it ranks Thailand quite poorly in the extent of governments, businesses, and consumers use connectivity technologies aimed at boosting social and economic prosperity.
So in the region, Thailand ranks slightly ahead of China and the Philippines, but well below Malaysia, Singapore, and Korea. I totally would agree with the World Economic Forum's report, partly because I feel that you cannot be competitive economically without being open with certain issues, and especially in regards with democracy. I think people assume that the economic progress and government having an authoritarian government may gel well. They may see the case of Singapore might be a very, very strong case, but even in Singapore itself, it's starting to crumble. That hollowness of authoritarian government. I think at the end of the day, if you want your society to be economically competitive, especially in the region and in the global world, you cannot and you will not be able to do so if you applied a system where the government is too authoritarian, because there's no shift of social mobility. People just stick to whatever they feel safe.
And also to give a little more additional information on that, this economic program is largely based on the 4-year plan that had been adopted by their former civilian government under the then Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra, whose administration was, of course, ousted in the May 22nd coup.
So what is your view on this?
I think I would definitely agree with you that we need a more. We cannot just focus on one aspect. If you want to really bring up the country, it has to be a more holistic way of doing things. And the competitiveness is another factor that affects the productivity of the nation as a whole. And I probably don't know about how well Thailand is going to do in this because with the military coup and all happening, but I guess if the military does have a plan, a proper plan to push Thailand forward, it could maybe work out well for them.
Yeah, it will definitely be able to work up well with Thailand, but at the same time, I think what Thailand should focus, as what John Oliver said, is ensure that the democracy in Thailand is being protected rather than being suppressed, especially by the military regime. Anyway, this is the news that we have for today. Thank you for listening to us. So for our audience here, if you want to follow us, commenting with us, you can always go to our Twitter and Facebook. Just type just Google DurianASEAN.com at Twitter and also at Facebook.
And also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And also download our TuneIn app on your smartphone so you can listen to us anytime, anywhere, and it's not just when you have your computer with you.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, we just want to wish all the Muslims in Malaysia and all over the world Selamat Hari Raya, and happy Selamat Hari Raya Idul Fitri, and hope that there will be more and more open house, and Malaysians alike would enjoy, this celebration next week.
Yeah, and this is Gowri signing off.
And me too, Arlene.